So I've been a little bit sick for like the past week or so, so forgive me if my nose and my voice don't sound 100%, but I'm recovering from a cold. Hey guys, what is going on? I'm back with another video, and today I'm talking about the Google Pixel 2. Google released a lot of new information on a lot of new products, but what I'm arguably most excited about is the Google Pixel 2 and the Pixel XL 2, of course. Unfortunately, I'm not someone who got to do a hands-on with the phone, but being a Pixel user myself, I figured I'd delve into the specs and technical stuff, mumbo jumbo, and see what got upgraded. If you want to see my review of the original Pixel, you can check it out in the top right corner up here. This is Google's second iteration of their smartphones, so they took a lot of the lessons that they learned from making the previous Pixel as well as the Nexus phones and applied it here. I think that the great thing about the Pixel and the Pixel XL within both generations is that regardless of what size you're able to get, you're gonna get the same technical specs for either one. For example, regardless on if you got the Pixel XL or the regular Pixel, you're gonna get the 12.3 megapixel rear shooter and an 8 megapixel front shooter. Same processor, Snapdragon 821, and the same amount of RAM, 4 gigs. They repeat this same ideal here, that regardless of which size you're able to get, you're gonna get the same thing across the board.
We don't set aside better features for the larger device.
In both the second generation Pixels, you're getting a Qualcomm Snapdragon 835, 4 gigs of RAM, same 8 megapixel front shooter, and 12.2 megapixel rear shooter. Granted, there are some minor differences between the two. Pixel 2 has a 2700 mAh battery, whereas the Pixel 2 XL has a 3520 mAh battery. Of course, there's differences in size, so they fit more battery in there. The original Pixel had a 2770 mAh battery, and the original Pixel XL had a 3450 mAh battery, both of which are within 70 mAh of their predecessor's battery size. The displays are also different. The regular Pixel 2 has a 1920 by 1080 16:9 aspect ratio, whereas the Pixel 2 XL has a 2880 by 1440 18:9 aspect ratio. I mean, those are basically the differences between the two different sizes of phones, which is literally their physical size. So they decided to include more battery in one and a bigger screen in one because it's physically bigger. But this isn't a comparison between the two different sizes of Pixels within the same generation. It's about the upgrades from the first generation to this second generation. Let's start with the build of this phone. It echoes the previous generation of Pixels, but also refreshes it with a new style. So Google decided to keep this glass little visor at the top here from last year, but they changed it up a little bit. They ended up actually making it a little bit smaller so it doesn't consume the fingerprint reader here, but they also made the glass wrap around the edges so it doesn't seem so placed in, but that it's an actual part of the phone. It serves as a really interesting accent piece, especially if you get the black and white Pixel XL, where it's all white and then the visor is just black. The rest of the build is a metal unibody build, but unlike last year, it doesn't have the antenna lines running across it, making it look a lot cleaner than it was last year. Much like last year's model, because it is a metal unibody build, there's no wireless charging. Like I said in my review of the Pixel XL, to some people it may be a deal breaker, but to me, wireless charging is not a deal breaker. I can survive without it, as long as I have fast charging.
You get up to 7 hours of charge in just 15 minutes.
It seems like they really sat down, focused on cleaning up last year's design and making it a little more clean, yet a little more playful with the inclusion of an accented power button. However, speaking about deal breakers for some people, this phone is a little bit more waterproof than last year's model. This phone has an IP certification of 67, whereas last year it had a certification of 53. Which means that it's a little bit more waterproof than last year. IP ratings are a little complicated to explain. I don't fully understand what every single number means, but just understand that this phone is, I believe, splash proof, but not completely waterproof. The screen on the Pixel XL went from a 5.5 16:9 screen to a 6-inch 18:9 or 2:1 for whatever reason aspect ratio, whereas the Pixel screen pretty much stayed the same. On top of both the top and bottom edges of the phone, we're finally given back front-facing stereo speakers. Honestly, that is the thing I am most excited for. Just to be able to hold the phone and not have to cut my hand around the side to make sure that the sound is coming forward, but now it's just you hold the phone, doesn't matter, and the sound just hits you in the face. I was super disappointed in the fact that the Nexus phones had the front-facing speakers, but then the Pixel didn't, which was really confusing, but I'm honestly just glad, so glad that they finally brought it back.
Over on the front, Pixel 2's front-facing stereo speakers are precision-tuned to deliver the perfect balance of volume, clarity, and frequency response.
Looking at the phone, it's a little saddening that the phone has a camera bump, but it's also a little camera bump. For most people, that doesn't matter because they're gonna throw a phone case on it anyway, and yeah, that's about it. It has a tiny little camera bump, which might make some people upset. Other people don't really care, and they're gonna throw a case on it. So, depending on what you think about it. I mean, I figured I should just throw that out there so you guys know. But before we move on from the build of this beautiful phone, there's something I have to mention. There's a USB Type-C 3.1 port on it, and that's it. There's no headphone jack. Yeah, that's right. There's no headphone jack. You can't plug your 3.5mm headphones in it, but it does come with a USB dongle included in the box, so I guess that's helpful. So just be aware about that if you're deciding on purchasing the phone. But that's enough about the build. There's a lot of software upgrades and little cool things in here that make the phone way better than last year. I mean, for one, there's portrait mode on both cameras, the front and the rear cameras. And if the cameras are anything like the Pixel 1 cameras, I'm gonna love it. They're gonna be absolutely amazing, and they're gonna be my favorite. That's about all I can say. I just love the Pixel 1 cameras, and I'm excited to see what the Pixel 2 cameras have in store for us. There's also this interesting little feature. We can squeeze the phone and it'll activate the Google Assistant. So it's like a dedicated Google Assistant button. I mean, I don't know how much I'll be using it, but it's an interesting feature to include, and we'll have to see how much I use it if and when I am able to purchase the phone. There's also this other little interesting gimmick with the Google Lens, they call it, where you can take a picture of some real world object. You can search for it by pressing a button and it'll give you results on your phone. So that's interesting. Not sure if I'm gonna use it that much, but we'll have to see when I get my hands on the phone. Home screen has changed a little bit by incorporating the search bar at the bottom of the screen for the first time, unlike various other versions of Android where they always kept it at the top of the screen. But they're still working on updating the home screen, so we'll have to wait and see what that looks like when the final build comes out. All in all, if I get the chance to upgrade to the Pixel 2, I'm definitely getting the Pixel 2 XL, as I'm excited to get my hands on it and just give everything a try for myself. But so far, with all this information that's out there about the phone, I'm pretty excited, especially with what they gave us last year and the fact that they're upgrading everything. I can't wait. Pixel 2 starts at $649 and the Pixel 2 XL starts at $849. And if you want to upgrade from 64 gigs to 128 gigs of storage, that's going to cost you an extra $100. They're currently available to purchase today, and they'll start shipping out on October 19th. You can get them from Verizon or unlocked on any carrier from the Google Store. What do you think about the upgrades from the Google Pixel to the Google Pixel 2? Do you think that these upgrades make the price point worth it? Let me know down in the comments below, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.